General Carthax stood before the Galactic Council, his forearms crossed in what he hoped conveyed both authority and mild annoyance. The massive chamber, carved from pure platinum and studded with consciousness crystals, hummed with the nervous energy of 200 different species representatives. Most of them were trying very hard not to make eye contact with him. Honorable members of the council, Carthax began, his vocal sacs inflating to project his voice across the chamber. I stand before you today with news that none of us wished to hear, but all of us knew was coming. The Nexus Empire and the Astral Confederation are now officially at war. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of sounds, clicks, whistles, electronic beeps, and what sounded suspiciously like someone trying to flush themselves down the waste extraction tube. Carthax waited for the noise to die down, watching as Council President Naira Zulux frantically banged her gravity gavel. Order. We will have order. President Zulux's crystalline voice cut through the chaos. General Carthax has the floor. Please continue, General. Carthax nodded, his secondary eyes scanning the room while his primary ones remained fixed on the Council President. Thank you, Madam President. As I was saying, after 3 centuries of Cold War, the situation has escalated beyond our ability to contain it. The Nexus Empire's attack on Station K-789 last week was not, as they claimed, a mining accident. It was a deliberate act of aggression. A holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber, showing the destroyed remains of the station. Several council members turned various shades of green, which was impressive considering some of them were naturally purple. But that's not why I'm here today, Carthax continued, his voice dropping to a more serious tone. I'm here to discuss the humans. The chamber went so quiet you could hear a plasma capacitor drop. Every single being in the room suddenly found themselves very interested in their data tablets, or the ceiling anywhere but Carthax's direction. Ah yes, the humans, President Zulux said, trying to sound casual and failing spectacularly. What about them? Both the Nexus Empire and the Astral Confederation have been pressuring Earth to choose a side in this conflict. So far, they have managed to maintain their neutrality, but Carthax paused for effect. Some members of both factions are suggesting we force their hand. A representative from the Silicon Collective, Ambassador P1NG, raised their communication antenna. With all due respect, General, why should we care about the humans? They're barely a Class 3 civilization. They haven't even colonized their entire solar system yet. Carthax couldn't help but let out a barking laugh, causing several council members to jump in their seats. Ambassador. That's exactly the kind of thinking that's going to get us all killed. You look at humans and see an inferior species because they haven't mastered faster than light travel or built Dyson swarms. What I see is a species that went from flying primitive combustion engines to landing on their moon in less than 70 years. He gestured to another hologram, this one showing Earth's history of warfare. I see a species that developed nuclear weapons and then chose not to use them, not because they couldn't, but because they understood the consequences. I see a species that turns everything they touch into a weapon, not out of malice, but out of sheer creativity. Did you know they developed their planetary defense system from something called a game console? The council chambers filled with nervous murmuring. Carthax continued, his voice growing more intense. But most importantly, I see a species that has managed to maintain diplomatic and trade relations with both the Nexus Empire and the Astral Confederation simultaneously, without showing favoritism to either side. Do you have any idea how difficult that is? President Zulux leaned forward in her hover chair. What exactly are you suggesting, General? I am suggesting, no, I am warning this council that forcing humans to choose a side in this war would be a catastrophic mistake. They may appear primitive by our standards, but they possess something far more dangerous than advanced technology. Carthax paused, making sure he had everyone's attention. They possess adaptability, unpredictability, and most terrifyingly of all, they possess principles they're willing to die for. The chamber erupted once again in heated discussion, but Carthax wasn't finished. He had saved his most important point for last. And let me remind the council of one final detail. The humans have a saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. If we force them to pick a side, we might just discover that they're capable of uniting our enemies against us. And trust me, None of us wants to see what humans can do when they're backed into a corner. As the council descended into chaos once again, Carthax couldn't help but smile inwardly. He had delivered his message. Now all he could do was hope they were smart enough to listen. Because if they weren't, well, he had already started updating his will, just in case. Carthax sat in his private chambers aboard the Galactic Council station, reviewing the first contact footage for what must have been the 1000th time. The holographic display showed the historical meeting between Captain Amanda Brooks of the Earth vessel Curiosity and High Commander Zren of the Galactic Council's First Contact Division. "So let me get this straight," Captain Brooks said in the recording, casually sipping something the humans called coffee. "You've been watching us for the past century, waiting for us to achieve faster than light travel before making contact." "That is correct," High Commander Zren replied, his tentacles twitching with confusion at her relaxed demeanor. "And in all that time, nobody thought to, I don't know, warn us about the asteroid that nearly hit us in 2047? Or maybe help us with our climate crisis? We have strict non-interference protocols." Captain Brooks actually laughed, in the face of one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. "Yeah, that worked out great for you with the Martians, didn't it?" Carthax paused the recording, shaking his head in amusement. The humans had been bluffing, there were no Martians. But that simple sentence had sent the Galactic Council into a panic that lasted 3 standard months. They had actually commissioned a secret task force to find these supposedly hidden Martians. "Computer, display first contact report, Section 7 Human Psychological Analysis," Carthax commanded. The holographic display filled with notes from the Council's top synopsychologists. Carthax had memorized every word, but he kept coming back to them, hoping to find something he'd missed. Report entry 2791: humans appear to simultaneously believe in mutually exclusive concepts. They can hold firm to their scientific principles while maintaining religious beliefs. They can love and hate the same thing at the same time. When questioned about these contradictions, they respond with phrases like "it's complicated" or "that's just how it is." Report entry 3147 attempted to introduce humans to the Galactic Standardized Testing System. Test results were invalidated when multiple humans answered questions with technically correct responses that exploited linguistic loopholes in the questions. When asked why, test subject Tyler Martinez responded, "Because it was funny, further investigation needed." Report entry 4891: human diplomatic strategy defies all known logical models. They alternate between aggressive posturing and self-deprecating humor, often in the same sentence. During trade negotiations, Human Representative Diana Patel convinced the Nexus Empire to lower tariffs by challenging their ambassador to something called a dance-off. Most disturbing of all, it worked. Carthax switched to the military assessment files, his secondary hearts beating faster as he read. Warning. Human combat doctrine cannot be reliably predicted. They have been observed using highly advanced tactical simulations for entertainment-designated video games, while their actual military sometimes relies on centuries-old techniques they call tried and true. They refer to this as keeping it simple, stupid, or KISS principle. Caution: humans have weaponized their own fictional entertainment. After viewing human science fiction media, 3 different species have withdrawn plans for invasion of Earth, citing uncomfortably accurate predictions of counter-strategies. A soft chime interrupted Carthax's reading. General, his AI assistant announced, "You have an incoming call from Ambassador Rachel Sullivan of Earth." Speaking of unpredictable humans, Carthax straightened his posture. "Accept call." The holographic display shifted to show Ambassador Sullivan's face. She was smiling that particular human smile that Carthax had learned meant trouble was coming. "General Carthax, I heard you gave quite the speech at the council today." "News travels fast," Carthax replied carefully. "Oh, you know us humans and our knack for gathering information," she said with a wink. "I just wanted to thank you for advocating for our continued neutrality. It's nice to know someone out there understands our position." "I wasn't advocating for you, Ambassador. I was warning the council about the dangers of forcing your hand." Sullivan's smile widened. "Same thing, isn't it? By the way, I loved that bit about the game console planetary defense system. Very creative." Carthax felt his scales flatten in embarrassment. You mean that part wasn't true? But our intelligence reports. Oh no, that part's absolutely true. We really did adapt gaming console processors for our orbital defense grid. We just find it hilarious that everyone thinks it's either brilliant or terrifying. We did it because it was cost-effective and, honestly, kind of funny. And there it was, that quintessential human quality that kept galactic intelligence analysts awake at night. Humans didn't just think outside the box, they questioned why the box existed in the first place, then turned it into something else entirely, all while laughing about it. Ambassador Carthax said slowly, "What exactly are you not telling me?" "Now, General," she replied, her eyes twinkling with mischief, "if I told you everything, how would we maintain our reputation for being unpredictable? Have a lovely day." The call ended, leaving Carthax staring at empty space. After a moment, he began laughing. He couldn't help it. The humans had done it again, somehow managing to simultaneously reassure and unsettle him in a single conversation. "Computer," he said, still chuckling, "update personal log reminder, never play poker with humans. They're either the worst bluffers in the galaxy or the best. The troubling part is, there's no way to tell which." The first shots of the war weren't fired with plasma cannons or antimatter missiles. They were fired with economic sanctions and trade embargoes. Carthax watched from his command center as the galactic stock market displays turned an alarming shade of red. "Update on the diplomatic situation," his assistant, Lieutenant Rax, reported. "The Mercurian merchants have aligned with the Nexus Empire after they offered exclusive mining rights in the Carina sector. The Silicon Collective joined the Astral Confederation after receiving promises of unlimited data access to the quantum archives." Carthax waved two of his hands dismissively. "Expected moves. What about the humans?" "That's complicated." Sir Lieutenant Rax pulled up a new holographic display. "They're still trading with both sides." "What? How?" "Well, sir, they've established what they call shell companies. When the Nexus Empire banned trade with Astral Confederation sympathizers, the humans created subsidiary corporations with names like definitely not associated with the Confederation Trading Company LLC. And the Nexus Empire fell for that." "No, sir. They knew exactly what the humans were doing. But the humans filed so much paperwork and created such a complex web of corporations that by the time anyone figured out how to stop it legally, they'd already created new companies with names like Totally Legal Business Ventures Incorporated." Carthax buried his face in all four hands. "And the Astral Confederation? They found it so amusing they started hiring human consultants to help them set up their own shell companies." A warning beacon flashed across the main screen. Lieutenant Rax's scales shifted to a pale green. "Sir, we're getting reports of the first actual combat. The Nexus Empire's Third Fleet just engaged Astral Confederation forces in the Orion Belt." The display showed two massive fleets exchanging fire, energy weapons lighting up the void of space. But what caught Carthax's attention was a small cargo ship weaving between the battling titans. "Magnify that vessel," he ordered. The image zoomed in to show a human transport ship, its hull painted with garish advertisements for something called Space Burger Now with real space meat. Are they delivering food to both fleets? During a battle? "Yes, sir. Apparently they're offering a wartime special: buy one space burger, get a second one free if you're actively engaged in combat." Before Carthax could respond, another alert pinged. A message from Earth's United Space Command scrolled across his screen: to all concerned parties, Earth maintains its neutral status in the current conflict. However, we would like to remind everyone that our Battle DoorDash delivery service has a strict 30 minutes or free policy. Any interference with our delivery vessels will be considered a violation of intergalactic food service regulations, which we have just made up, but will enforce with extreme prejudice." Sir Lieutenant Rax interrupted. "The floating monasteries of Bellatrix have just announced they're joining the Nexus Empire." "The pacifist monks? Why would they?" "Let me guess. The humans?" "Yes, sir. Apparently a human academic convinced them that since they believe in absolute nonviolence, they have a moral obligation to support the side they think will win fastest to minimize overall casualties." That's not how neutrality works." The human academic apparently replied, "Why not?" And the monk spent 3 weeks in philosophical debate before deciding he had a point. The tactical display updated again, showing more systems declaring allegiances. The hive minds of Antares joined the Astral Confederation after losing a game of something called rock, paper, scissors to a human child. The Quantum Panthers of Rigel sided with the Nexus Empire because, according to their declaration, their uniforms look cooler. Meanwhile, human vessels continued to zip through the growing chaos, delivering everything from medical supplies to entertainment broadcasts. They'd somehow convinced both sides that watching human reality TV shows was essential for troop morale. Sir Lieutenant Rax said, their voice dropping to a whisper, "I've discovered something disturbing about the humans' trading pattern." Carthax looked up from the battle reports. More disturbing than selling branded merchandise of the war. "Yes, sir. They're selling slightly different technologies to each side. To the Nexus Empire, they're selling advanced shield modulators. To the Astral Confederation, they're selling specialized shield-penetrating weapons. But that means..." "Yes, sir. They're guaranteeing that neither side can gain a significant advantage. The longer the war goes on, the more both sides become dependent on human technology and trade." Carthax started laughing. He couldn't help it. "Don't you see? This isn't just business for them. They're forcing a stalemate." "But why, sir?" "Because as long as both sides are focused on fighting each other, nobody's pressuring Earth to choose a side. And every day this goes on, they're making themselves more and more indispensable to both factions." Another alert blinked on his screen. A human corporation had just patented something called Peace Burgers with the tagline for "When you're tired of war burgers," and was already taking pre-orders from both sides. Lieutenant Carthax said, shaking his head in amazement, "Update my personal log. Note humans don't need advanced technology to conquer the galaxy. They'll probably do it with fast food and paperwork, and somehow make us thank them for it." The message that changed everything arrived during what humans called happy hour, a confusing term since it actually lasted 3 hours, and often resulted in varying levels of happiness. Carthax was reviewing battle reports when his emergency quantum communicator activated. General Lieutenant Rax burst into his office, all 4 arms waving frantically. The Nexus Empire. They tried to force Earth's hand. Carthax felt his scales tighten. What did those idiots do? They attempted to manipulate Earth's global communication network. They thought if they could control the humans' social media, they could influence public opinion. That doesn't sound so bad, sir. They tried to shut down something called Netflix. Carthax jumped from his chair. They did what? The tactical display lit up with alerts. Earth's response was immediate and unprecedented. Within minutes, every Nexus Empire communication system began playing something called "Never Gonna Give You Up" on endless repeat. Their battleships' external speakers, their internal comms, even their quantum encrypted channels, all of them blasting the same Earth music. "What kind of weapon is this?" Carthax demanded. "It's not a weapon, sir. It's something humans call a meme. They're claiming it's a technical glitch caused by old Earth code that accidentally spread through the network. And the Nexus Empire believes that." "No, sir. But they can't prove otherwise. Somehow the humans managed to insert this program decades ago, hiding it in the entertainment packages they sold throughout the galaxy. They're calling it Retroactive Entertainment Protocol 1987. The situation deteriorated rapidly. The Nexus Empire, attempting to save face, announced they would demonstrate their military might with a show of force. They positioned their dreadnought fleet near Jupiter, declaring they would conduct routine exercises. Earth's response came in the form of a press release: "We thank the Nexus Empire for volunteering to test our new planetary defense system. The demonstration will begin in 5 minutes." Sir Lieutenant Rax reported, "We're detecting no unusual energy signatures from Earth. No weapon systems, no shield activation." "What are they playing at?" Carthax muttered. The answer came from Jupiter itself. The gas giant's great red spot, that massive storm that had raged for centuries, suddenly winked. "Impossible," Carthax whispered. "They didn't." "Sir, incoming transmission from Earth's United Space Command. marked about that storm. The message was brief. Remember how we said we hadn't colonized our whole solar system yet? We may have understated our extraplanetary development strategy. As it turns out, gas giants make excellent camouflage for research and development facilities. Who knew? The Nexus Empire fleet retreated so fast they left after images. Their official statement claimed the exercises were successfully concluded, though no one missed how their ships now gave Jupiter a ridiculously wide berth. Update from our intelligence division, Lieutenant Rax said, their voice shaking slightly. We've confirmed that humans have similar facilities in every gas giant in their system. They've been using them too. Test recipes for space burgers. Test recipes? In massive hidden space stations. Yes, sir. When questioned, they said, and I quote, well, we had to put them somewhere, and Saturn's rings make great mood lighting for our food court. The Astral Confederation, witnessing this display, attempted to capitalize on the Nexus Empire's embarrassment by offering Earth protection from future aggression. They sent their most accomplished diplomat, Ambassador Zan, to present their case. The humans hosted the meeting at a facility on Titan, Saturn's largest moon. The location itself was a power move, a reminder of their hidden capabilities. But it was their response that truly demonstrated why pushing humans was a terrible idea. Ambassador Sullivan delivered Earth's reply while casually sipping something called a milkshake. We appreciate your generous offer, she said, but we already have protection. She gestured to the window, where the rings of Saturn suddenly rippled in a way rings definitely shouldn't. Would you like to see our receipt? The humans, Carthax said, reading the latest intelligence update, have turned their entire solar system into a combination of fortress, research facility, and fast food empire. And they did it so gradually that nobody noticed until they wanted us to notice. Yes, sir. And there's more. Remember those shell companies they created? Don't tell me. They own controlling interests in key military suppliers for both the Nexus Empire and the Astral Confederation. If either side attempts to force Earth to choose a side, humans can legally shut down their weapons manufacturing through stockholder voting rights. Carthax collapsed into his chair, laughing hysterically. They didn't need warships or advanced weapons. They conquered us with corporate bylaws and burger franchises. A final message flashed across his screen, a private communication from Ambassador Sullivan. By the way, General, we're opening a new space burger location in the Galactic Council's food court next week. As one of our favorite customers, you're invited to the grand opening. We're introducing a new menu item, the Neutrality Nuggets. They taste the same no matter whose side you're on. Lieutenant Carthax said, still chuckling, update my calendar. It seems I have a lunch appointment with Destiny, and make a note, never, ever threaten a species that turns gas giants into secret bases just because the lighting was good for their food courts. General Carthax stood in Earth's orbital diplomatic station, gazing through the reinforced windows at the blue planet below. The station's design perfectly encapsulated humanity's approach to everything. It looked like a luxury hotel, but could reportedly transform into a battle station in under 3 minutes. Beautiful view, isn't it? Ambassador Sullivan's voice came from behind him. She was accompanied by Admiral James Blackwood and Director Nancy Phoenix of Earth's Strategic Defense Initiative. Indeed, Carthax replied, turning to face them. Though I suspect you didn't invite me here just to admire the scenery. No, Admiral Blackwood said, his weathered face serious. We invited you because you're one of the few who understand why pushing Earth into this war would be catastrophic. For everyone. Director Phoenix activated a holographic display. Let me show you something, General. Computer, display Project Heritage. The room filled with images from Earth's military history. Carthax watched, fascinated and horrified, as battles from various eras played out before him. This, Phoenix said, pointing to a scene of ancient warriors, is the Battle of Thermopylae. 300 soldiers held off an army of thousands through superior positioning and sheer determination. Fascinating, Carthax murmured. But surely with modern technology. Computer, display World War II Pacific Theater. Admiral Blackwood interrupted. The display shifted to show naval battles. We fought this war across the largest ocean on our planet. When our aircraft carriers were damaged, we repaired them in days when the enemy estimated it would take months. We didn't just outfight them, we out-repaired them, out-produced them, out-innovated them. And now, Carthax asked. Ambassador Sullivan smiled. Now we've turned our entire solar system into one giant defensive network. Those space burger restaurants, every single one is a surveillance post. The delivery ships, they can transform into fighter craft in seconds. We even weaponized our marketing departments. The jingles, Carthax said with sudden realization. Those annoyingly catchy tunes your companies use are actually encrypted communication channels, Phoenix confirmed. Nobody pays attention to commercial broadcasts. It's the perfect cover for transmitting sensitive information. But that's not the real reason you should be worried, Admiral Blackwood added. Show him the contingency plans, Nancy. Director Phoenix nodded grimly. Computer, display Operation Pandora. The holographic display showed a complex network of trade routes, supply lines, and military installations throughout both the Nexus Empire and Astral Confederation territories. Over the past decade, Phoenix explained, we've been selling both sides slightly defective technology. Nothing dangerous, just equipment that requires regular maintenance. From human technicians, we've positioned our people throughout both empires' critical infrastructure. If anyone forces us to choose sides, you'll have agents in place to shut down the opposing side's operations, Carthax finished. Wrong, Sullivan said cheerfully. We'll shut down both sides. After all, the best way to avoid choosing sides is to ensure neither side can continue fighting. Carthax felt his scales ripple. You'd cripple both empires. While maintaining plausible deniability, Phoenix confirmed. After all, it would just look like a series of unfortunate mechanical failures. But that's just Plan A. There's a Plan B. Admiral Blackwood grinned. We call it Operation Crazy Ivan. If anyone attacks Earth directly, we'll release the location of every space burger's secret recipe to the public. That's your backup plan. Do you have any idea how many trade agreements, political alliances, and corporate empires are built around the mystery of our secret sauce? Sullivan asked. The resulting chaos would collapse half the galaxy's economy overnight. You're bluffing, Carthax said, but without conviction. Maybe, Phoenix replied. But can anyone afford to take that chance? We've spent years building our reputation for being simultaneously friendly and unpredictable. Nobody knows if we're brilliant strategists or just lucky idiots. The truth is, Admiral Blackwood added, we're both. Humans have a unique talent for stumbling into the perfect solution while looking for something else entirely. We call it strategic serendipity. Ambassador Sullivan approached Carthax, her expression serious for once. We don't want war, General. We've made our finest scientific discoveries while trying to make better coffee machines. We've achieved our greatest diplomatic victories through fast food franchising. We've built our strongest alliances by selling overpriced entertainment subscriptions. But if anyone forces us to fight, Phoenix continued, we won't just use weapons. We'll use economics, culture, bureaucracy, and every ridiculous idea our marketing teams can dream up. We'll wage war with paperwork and trademark disputes. We'll conscript our customer service departments. Have you ever dealt with an angry human customer service representative? General Sullivan asked. Now imagine an army of them, armed with both weapons and complaints forms. Carthax shuddered. He'd once spent 6 hours trying to cancel a Space Burger Rewards program membership. Never again. So you see, Admiral Blackwood concluded, it's in everyone's best interest to let Earth remain neutral. We're much more valuable as the galaxy's most irritatingly useful ally than its most creative enemy. As if to emphasize the point, a Space Burger advertisement began playing on the station's speakers, its jingle suspiciously similar to an ancient Earth battle hymn. I understand, Carthax said finally, and I'll make sure the Council understands too. Though I have one last question, was any of this actually planned, or did you just make it up as you went along? The three humans shared a look, then burst out laughing. General Sullivan said, wiping tears from her eyes, even we don't know anymore. And that's exactly how we like it. The emergency session of the Galactic Council began exactly 1 standard hour after Carthax's return from Earth. The chamber buzzed with tension as representatives from both the Nexus Empire and Astral Confederation glared at each other across the room. Order. Order in the council. President Zulux's voice cut through the chaos. We are here to discuss the formal petition to force Earth's alignment in the current conflict. Carthax watched from his position as the Nexus Empire's representative, Ambassador Thorn, took the floor. The ambassador's crystalline form sparkled with barely contained anger. The situation is clear, Thorn declared. Earth's continued neutrality threatens the stability of our trade networks. Their corporations have infiltrated our economies, their entertainment broadcasts distract our workers, and their food delivery services are causing our military personnel to gain weight. Point of order. The Astral Confederation's representative, Ambassador Lyra, interrupted. Our troops have gained an average of 2 kilos less than the Nexus forces, thanks to our exclusive contract with Space Burger's new light menu. That's because you violated the Ganymede Convention by ordering the low-calorie options without informing your soldiers. President Zulux banged her gavel. Ambassadors, please. We are not here to discuss military dietary programs. Actually, a voice called from the public gallery. We're having a 2-for-1 special on our new diplomatic dinner deal. Every head turned to see a human in a Space Burger uniform standing there, somehow having bypassed all security protocols. The council's security chief was too busy eating something called a quantum quesadilla to notice. Remove that human at once, Ambassador Thorn demanded. I would, the security chief said between bites, but according to the station's maintenance contract, which was apparently subcontracted to a human company last year, they have full access rights to ensure proper food court operations. Carthax suppressed a laugh as he stood to address the council. Honored representatives, before we vote on this petition, I have new intelligence about Earth's capabilities that you need to consider. He activated his holographic projector, displaying scenes from his recent meeting. Earth's defensive capabilities extend far beyond military strength. They've created an intricate web of economic, cultural, and logistical systems that makes them virtually untouchable. Nonsense, Ambassador Thorn scoffed. They're barely a Class 3 civilization. A Class 3 civilization that somehow owns the patents to both your Empire's shield technology and the Confederation's weapons systems, Carthax countered. Did none of you read the fine print on those technology licensing agreements? The chamber erupted into panicked whispers as representatives frantically searched through their contract databases. Furthermore, Carthax continued, Earth's influence extends into areas we never considered. Their entertainment streaming services are classified as essential mental health services in 90% of our territories. Their coffee shops are listed as critical diplomatic infrastructure. They've even convinced the Quantum Archives to adopt something called a subscription model. But surely we can simply stop using their services, Ambassador Lyra suggested. Can we? Carthax pulled up another display. 3 days ago, humans introduced a new drink called Productivity Plus to their coffee shops. Within 24 hours, workplace efficiency across both empires increased by 40%. We're already addicted to it, and we don't even know what's in it. It's just coffee with extra caffeine, the Space Burger employee helpfully offered from the gallery. That's exactly what makes them so dangerous, Carthax pressed on. They achieve galactic domination through convenience. They're not conquering us with weapons, they're conquering us with customer loyalty programs. President Zulux leaned forward. What exactly are you suggesting, General? I'm suggesting that forcing Earth to choose sides would be like trying to defeat gravity by shooting at it. They've already won, and they did it while selling us combo meals and streaming subscriptions. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Finally, Ambassador Thorn spoke again, his crystalline form dimming with resignation. Perhaps neutrality is the best option after all. Our market research shows that war would significantly impact our Space Burger franchise profitability. And our troops would riot if they lost access to something called Netflix, Ambassador Lyra admitted. Then we are agreed, President Zulux asked. Earth's neutrality shall be officially recognized and protected. The vote was unanimous, though Carthax noticed several representatives were distracted by their food delivery notifications. As the session concluded, Carthax received a message from Ambassador Sullivan. Thanks for your support, General. As a token of our appreciation, You've been upgraded to Platinum Plus status in our loyalty program. That comes with free unlimited refills and a special surprise we think you'll enjoy. Carthax looked up to see his personal food replicator producing something new, a perfectly prepared cup of coffee, just the way he liked it, even though he'd never told anyone his preferences. How did he began? Your browsing history, Sir Lieutenant Rax explained. Apparently it's synced with their customer satisfaction algorithms.
Carthax took a sip of the coffee. It was perfect, of course. As he watched the council representatives filing out, many of them already placing orders for dinner, he couldn't help but smile. You know, Lieutenant, he said, I think humanity has taught us all a valuable lesson. What's that, sir? Never underestimate a species that can turn fast food into a superweapon. Now, let's get lunch. I hear they're introducing something called a peace treaty special buy one, prevent war free. 3 months after the council's decision, General Carthax sat in his favorite space burger location on the Galactic Council station. Enjoying their new peacetime prosperity platter, the restaurant's viewing window offered a perfect view of the steady stream of ships flowing through the nearby trade lanes. Commerce was booming now that the threat of war had subsided. Mind if I join you? Ambassador Sullivan appeared, carrying something called a Victory Vanilla Shake. I thought humans didn't technically win anything, Carthax said, gesturing for her to sit.
Victory means different things to different people, she replied with that characteristic human smile. For instance, did you notice that both the Nexus Empire and Astral Confederation have started adopting Earth's corporate structure for their governmental organizations? Carthax nodded. Yes, something about improving efficiency through competitive market forces. And have you noticed who's consulting on those restructuring projects? Let me guess, human companies. Specifically, subsidiaries of companies that are technically owned by Earth's United Space Command through about 17 layers of shell corporations. Carthax nearly choked on his burger. You're taking over their governments through management consulting. Taking over is such a strong phrase. We prefer optimizing operational synergy through strategic partnership initiatives. That doesn't mean anything. Exactly, Sullivan beamed. We found that the best way to control something is to make it so bureaucratically complicated that nobody else wants to deal with it. A news alert flashed across the restaurant's info screens. Breaking news: Nexus Empire and Astral Confederation announced joint venture to explore peaceful applications of their military technologies. Project to be overseen by new neutral regulatory body headquartered on Earth. You planned this whole thing, Carthax realized. The war, the trade deals, the franchise expansion. It was all part of a larger strategy. Would you believe me if I told you it started with a college student's thesis paper? Title was Practical Applications of Fast Food Franchising in Galactic Peace Operations. You're joking. Wish I was. We thought it was hilarious. Until it worked. Turns out the best way to prevent interstellar war is to make everyone too busy trying to figure out their loyalty program points to fight. Another alert scrolled across the screen. Spaceburger announces new Universal Unity menu, featuring fusion dishes from all major galactic cultures. Stock prices surge across all sectors. But surely someone will eventually realize what's happening, Carthax protested. Oh, they already have, Sullivan said, stirring her shake. But here's the beautiful part: we've made peace more profitable than war. Do you know how much paperwork is involved in military operations? Way more than running a restaurant chain. And the profit margins on fusion cuisine are absolutely incredible. Lieutenant Rax approached their table, looking somewhat bewildered. Sir, you need to see this. The human strategy has spread to other species. The Silicon Collective just opened a chain of digital consciousness upload cafes called Cloud Coffee, and the hive minds of Antares are franchising their telepathic meditation spas. They're copying our business model, Sullivan asked, looking delighted. No, ma'am. They're filing for membership in something called the Earth Chamber of Commerce. Carthax's jaw dropped. You're unifying the galaxy through franchise agreements.
And customer service protocol, Sullivan added. Nothing brings people together like complaining about hold music. Speaking of which.
The station's background music switched to a catchy tune, the new Spaceburger jingle that had become the unofficial anthem of galactic peace. By the way, Sullivan said, sliding a data pad across the table, here's our latest initiative. We call it the Galactic Good Neighbor Program. Carthax read the document, his eyes widening with each section. It was a comprehensive peacekeeping framework disguised as a customer satisfaction survey. This is brilliant, he admitted. You've turned the entire galaxy into one giant strip mall. Food court, Sullivan corrected. Strip malls are so last century. We're thinking of calling it Space Mall, where every species shops in peace. A final news alert appeared. Cultural Exchange Initiative announced Nexus Empire's Crown Prince to star in human reality TV show Keeping Up with the Kardashians Galactic Edition. And that, Sullivan said, raising her shake in a toast, is how you win a war without firing a shot. Though between you and me, the reality TV show might be going too far. Even we have our limits. Carthax looked around the restaurant, seeing members of formerly hostile species sharing meals and complaining about their subscription services together. You know what the scariest part is? It actually worked. You've achieved what thousands of years of diplomacy couldn't. Just wait until we introduce our new loyalty program next month, Sullivan winked. We're calling it Pax Gastronomica Universal Peace through Universal Cuisine. Let me guess, the terms and conditions are 3,000 pages long. 5,000, actually. We had to add a section about proper use of spice trade routes. Turns out some things never change, even in space. As they sat there, watching the diverse crowd of beings all united in their pursuit of fast food and entertainment subscriptions, Carthax finally understood humanity's greatest weapon. They hadn't just prevented a war, they'd made peace entertaining.
One last question, he said. Was any of this actually planned, or did you just keep adding to it whenever someone had a funny idea? Sullivan finished her shake and stood up. General, the greatest trick humanity ever pulled was making everyone think we couldn't possibly be that clever while simultaneously making them not care if we were. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go oversee the opening of our newest franchise location. We're putting a space burger on the moon, for historical irony. As she left, Carthax noticed his burger wrapper had text printed on it, "Congratulations. You've just participated in Galactic Peace Initiative Phase 7. Don't forget to rate your experience on our app." He couldn't help but laugh. Humanity had turned the entire galaxy into a franchise operation, and somehow everyone was happier for it. Perhaps that was their real superpower, not their unpredictability or their military might, but their ability to make peace more entertaining than war. And as he watched another space burger location materialize on the station's promenade, he realized that resistance truly was futile, especially when it came with free refills and a customer loyalty program.